What do you mean Luis Elizondo wasn't involved in the AATIP program?
Out front now, the former Pentagon military official who ran the covert government program up until this last November, Luis Elizondo.
You mean he just had access to the data and personnel, but he just wasn't involved? And the New York Times didn't fact check this? And they released the videos anyway and ran with the story. What do you mean the Harry Reid letter doesn't matter? His name was just on it. Keith, I never heard of him. You're telling me he had to use insults in his article because his writing doesn't stand on its own? And nobody cares? Okay. Attack on Titan? Yeah, that was based on real events. That actually happened. Yeah, it holds more weight than that article. Whatever, dude. This is getting old. Peace. Hey everybody, welcome back. Just so you know, that was satire. Anyways, moving forward. On this channel we discuss UFOs, CE5, and related phenomena. If you're interested in that, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell because videos are going to be uploaded at random. So when it gets to talking about Luis Elizondo and his role at the Pentagon and the AATIP program, as we see lately, there's some controversy in that. Now, to think that he had no responsibilities or involvement in the AATIP program is fairly ridiculous at this point for several reasons. One of those reasons is that he had access to data and personnel. So if he was able to obtain the data, the five observables, the cases that they worked on, the details of the cases that they worked on, and handling other individuals who were witnesses who held security clearances, I think he would have to be cleared for that. And if not, and he came out with the information, and there were no ramifications from coming out with that information he wasn't supposed to have access to, there would be major ramifications for that. You know, that's number one. Number two, New York Times and Politico have sourced their information. So they're not just going off Luis Elizondo's word. They have documentation and possibly other witnesses to verify that Luis Elizondo did in fact have great involvement with the AATIP program.
Let me mention in that regard that when Lou Elizondo, my colleague, was still in the Pentagon running the UFO investigation, I worked with him.
Come again?
Introduced him to two individuals who are direct reports to General Mattis.
One more time?
We were unable to get that on the Secretary's agenda. Ultimately, Lou concluded and I concluded that the only way to make progress on this issue was from the outside, to take the information to the public and the Congress.
Also, you have people like Christopher Mellon, who held a major position, is basically vetting Luis Elizondo and had mentioned before that he had worked with Luis Elizondo previously. More than likely, it was when he was in the AATIP program that Chris Mellon had worked with him. Okay, and now on top of that, you have people like Hal Puthoff and Dr. Davis, and both of these individuals were contracted through Bigelow's company Bass to work on the OSAP/AATIP program, and they dealt directly with Luis Elizondo in doing that. So we have several different methods of vetting that Luis Elizondo was involved deeply with the AATIP program. So I don't know where people are going with this. I get, yes, you want to validate something, you want to verify the facts, for sure, and I'm sure that is going to come out in time. But to make a trash article, I'm not saying it was a bad article necessarily, but to trash Luis Elizondo in that sense and dedicate an entire piece to basically saying he's lying and making it up, I think that's nonsense. It's almost a non-argument at this point that he had an involvement. And getting to that, another non-argument, John Greenwald, the Black Vault, recently posted, he made a post on Facebook and probably other places saying not to throw salt on the wound, but the Pentagon gave me verification that the gun camera footage videos weren't approved for public release. And somehow that makes Luis Elizondo and To the Stars Academy look bad. Well, I don't want to sound like a To the Stars Academy defender, but let's be real. If you're a truth seeker, and these people went forward and they took videos that are in fact from the Pentagon, and Luis Elizondo and the New York Times, Leslie Kean, Ralph Blumenthal, and Helena Cooper decided, let's release it and put it out to the public, even though they're not approved, so the people will get the truth. And that creates some kind of confusion. These people need to be commended for the heroicism. I mean, that's incredible that they had the audacity and the bravery to do something like that. So that's not throwing salt on the wound. That's giving them the ultimate prize of the century. I don't know how else to say it. That doesn't make them look bad. That makes them look more genuinely like a rogue group who's trying to push this issue to the forefront, take it out of the shadows, no pun intended, and put the topic out there in the mainstream at any cost, without going too far and breaking security clearances and NDAs and stuff like that. I mean, that needs to be highly commended if that is the truth. And just if people need a reminder, when taking word from the Pentagon, yes, they did make the admittance that AATIP did in fact investigate UAP, which is a huge acknowledgement. That's tremendous. And, I'll give credit where it's due. I'm glad that they did that. Good. But then to turn around and say Luis Elizondo had no involvement, I'm going to put my money on that's some kind of twisting of words and definitions and other kind of things like that, where it's complicating the technicality of the issue when it's apparent that he was directly involved in a very deep manner to have all this access to data, personnel, and everything else that's involved with it. So keep that in mind. The Pentagon denied that they released the videos to begin with after the videos were released. They made a public statement saying, we don't know where those came from, which everybody kind of knew was BS. And sure enough, we found out, yeah, it is BS. And, we eventually got the forms via George Knapp's investigative journalist work, and probably with the help of Harry Reid and maybe others, were able to put out the DD 1910 form to show that the videos were declassified for release. So I just wanted to add to the discussion on that. I'm not saying I have the ultimate answers of everything. I'm not saying anything like that. But I'm saying let's, be more coherent in our conversation. There's a lot of back and forth and black and white where it's either all or nothing. And I don't think it has to be anything like that. I think we can all contribute to the conversation in an intelligent and respectful way. Just like Keith Clore, for example, in his article, there was no reason for him to throw whatever insults he did at Luis Elizondo in an article that's supposed to be professional and respectful. I mean, that's just childish. That's why I did the piece at the beginning, because, hey, it is what it is. there's just no need for that. And there's no need for, you know, if you disagree with somebody, you don't have to attack people. You know, John Greenwald, although he's done a lot of, you know, incredible work over the years, he makes so many condescending remarks, and it's disenchanting and encouraging to so many people, and it looks foolish at the end of the day. I mean, do you go around your house talking to people like that? That's ridiculous. You know, and that's not an insult to him. I'm just airing out over here and speaking honestly, because I think that's what we need, and we should be respectful, you know. Anyways, if you guys are into this kind of stuff, the UFO stuff, CE5, To the Stars Academy, and anything else, I'll be doing a lot of coverage on this kind of stuff. So subscribe to the channel. I appreciate it. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.